Hello everybody, I'm Krasi Attasio, I'm sidereal astrologer, and in this video I will talk about the past life incarnations, the past life in the horoscope, how to see what the person did in the previous lives. I will show you some general rules, but the most interesting things that I will show you, you cannot find in any literature, and this will be about the sacred degrees. There are only 7 sacred degrees in the whole chart of 360 other degrees, and these sacred degrees are showing, they're very esoteric, very spiritual, and they show the level of spirituality, the level of consciousness, the vibrational level of the person that is inherited from the previous lives. And of course, I will give you some general guidelines on how to follow up what the person did in the past lives, and what probably our next karmic lessons may be. Of course, the whole horoscope is karmic. If one would ask, well, which are the karmic houses, that everything is karma. We are born in this particular second, in this particular minute, on this day, in order to fulfill our karma, to complete our karma, of course. And in the video about the free will, I was explaining how the soul descends through the planetary spheres, and why is it so important that we descend in this particular second and in this particular minute. So we are inheriting our karma from the previous lives. The karma is what we need to complete and what we can learn. We need to learn in this particular incarnation. And if you see somebody has a horoscope which is very harmonious, only harmonious aspects like trines, sextiles, or when you see a good, fortunate, royal fixed stars in the horoscope, be certain that this person deserved this horoscope. Be certain that he or she worked a lot in previous lives, suffered a lot, cried a lot in order to learn the lessons and to get easier life in this incarnation. The same is for the other opposite possibility, when the person would have only squares, oppositions, difficult aspects. Again, be sure that this is well deserved, that the person has to work out certain lessons from previous incarnations. There is a known, according to Master Bein Sedunu, well-known Bulgarian master, who says, if you see, for example, in the natal chart, a general square, like 4 planets forming a big square, this could be that, of course, a very difficult destiny, very difficult karma. And also he is saying, avoid looking at such horoscopes, because it's possible that the person is not from a human origin. So this is just a small indication to tell you that we all deserve our karma, and that it is a result of many previous incarnations and lessons that we learned or didn't not learn. Now, not only the 12th and the 6th houses is what you need to look at when you're supposed to judge on the karmic lessons on the previous incarnations. Of course, it's a basic knowledge, comes mainly or from the Vedic astrology, that Rahu and Ketu, the lunar nodes, the head of the dragon and the tail of the dragon Ketu, are indication what the person did and what is supposed to do in this lifetime. Like if you look at the position of Ketu, the tail of the dragon, depending on the house position and on the house ruler, then you judge, of course, what the previous interests, what the previous activities of the person were. So this is just very general. And then when you look at the position of Rahu, of course, it's the other way around. You look what the person will be aiming at, what the goals of the person will be, what his or her ambitions, also illusions will be. So this is a general rule that you need to look at. Of course, in order to start such judgment, you need very well, before you come to looking for the 7 sacred degrees that I will list in a second, of course you need to look at something very important, and this is Uranus. What is Uranus? Yes, Uranus was not detected in ancient Babylon, neither was detected in ancient India. So the sidereal astrologers will not look really, some will, but most will not look at Uranus, Neptune and Pluto in the natal chart in order to judge on the previous incarnations. But I will tell you that this is very important, because indeed In Babylon, the ancients didn't know about Uranus, but they knew about the Lord God Anu, who is one of the creator of the humanity and who is the one who rules the sky, An or Anu. So Uranus is Anu, he's God, he's ruling the sky. Depending on how the luminaries, especially the sun, in one's horoscope is related to Uranus, you can judge on how much the person worked in accordance to the spirit laws, how much the person was working in a good relation with the angelic world and with God. If you see that Uranus is badly placed and is having a square with the sun or square with the moon, certainly this is a sign that the vibrational level of the person may not be that high, that the person needs still to learn in order to achieve the blessing of God, because the person probably did not maintain such high moral values in order to say that he or she worked with God or with the spirit world or with the angels. So this is something that you may start with. Then of course you look at the Hillock, the sun, not the sun. Very often, what is the Hillock? About the Hillock, you can learn in the traditional, the Hellenistic astrology. But what is the Hillock? This is the first aeon. With the first breath, we get energies from one planet the most. And this is the way the soul enters in the body at the moment of our first breath. So this is the Hillock. Very often in the horoscope, if the sun or the moon are well positioned, then the sun or moon will be Hillock. The Hillock is very important. The Hillock is representing your soul. So how is your soul in accordance to the other planets? Is it afflicted? Is it on a fall? Is it detriment? Is it exalted? Based on this, you can also judge on the spiritual level of the person now, so that you know that this person worked also in the past lives, maintaining very high moral levels, working with the gods. The Hillock. The Hillock, there are many different rules on finding the Hillock, but for diurnal chart, very often this will be the sun. When the diurnal would mean that the sun will be above the horizon, so very often it will be the sun, if the sun is placed well on angular position or on the 10th or 11th houses. But there are many rules. Then if you cannot conclude that the sun is Hillock, you can check the moon, and if not, you take the ascendant. So there are many rules. Maybe ask some questions below this video, and if I see that you really have trouble finding out the Hillock, I may do a separate video on this. It's very simple. The rules are many, but we stick to certain criteria, and it's very easy to find the Hillock. So how the Hillock is placed? This is you, this is your soul. The sun is the consciousness, and the moon is your feelings, also representing yourself, your soul. Now there is also something that you can continue with, and this is when you will judge the previous incarnations, you put the 6th house using sidereal chart. You put the 6th house as ascendant, and from there you judge how the 6th house is the ruler of the 6th house, where is the ruler placed, and then you can make a whole story around the previous incarnations of the person. The 9th house would show the moral beliefs, the luck, the fortune, the prosperity, the consciousness, and this is also something that one inherited from previous incarnations. So the 9th house is also about how the one would judge, what the moral values of the person will be, how he would she would make right or wrong judgments. So this you can also conclude from there. But the 6th house is very important. From there you build a new chart, like putting the 6th on the ascendant, and then you make a whole story just analyzing this chart. And now I come up to the sacred degrees. These are the sacred degrees. I think Abu Mashar was mentioning them, but this is a very ancient knowledge, and I will explain you how, when you find these sacred degrees, to judge on the level of spirituality of the person. From building the sixth house a chart, you can create a story, realistic, real story on what the previous uh, um, lives, activities, or values, or everything was of the person. But of course, it's very important that you follow up the sacred degrees, and I always do when I'm analyzing somebody's natal chart, and it always works without mistake. But to remind you, for this purpose, I'm using sidereal chart because I'm absolutely not denying the tropical charts, but when you use sidereal chart, it's purely astronomical. So you follow up the real degrees on the sky. You follow up the real, not the projection, the real degrees, the real shapes. And here we will talk again about the shapes of the stars. So what are we having here? We have only seven. Before I continue, I'm mentioning this in some of the videos. If you don't have a program to use sidereal chart, very easy, astro.com. Choose sidereal chart, choose Ayanamsha, Fagan Bradley, and EQ house system, and then you will see the stars listed in a very easy way so that you can follow up my story. This, in previous videos, I explained you about the four royal stars, and you might find them on my channel if you haven't looked at those videos. They're short, and there I give a short explanation on how the royal stars work on people's horoscopes. I'm saying this, I'm reminding this because these particular sacred degrees, they have to do, they're related to the royal stars. Now you have seven sacred degrees, and they are where? They are in the zodiacal signs, where the royal stars are. First, you have Taurus. Aldebaran is the star, is the fixed royal star in Taurus, the first, the most important, the 15th degrees, sidereal Taurus. You have Aldebaran, the star of luck and money and wealth. The lucky one is called the one who would have Aldebaran rising or Aldebaran mid-heaven. And I spoke that Donald Trump, for example, is having Aldebaran on mid-heaven. Now you have three sacred degrees in Taurus. So this is a sign which is very special. The great bull, the bull of heaven. A sign where the gods multiply the goods, the beneficial, the luck and the benefic qualities of the person. So we have Aldebaran. Aldebaran, the eye of the bull, is one of the sacred degrees. Then we have 27 degree Aldebaran, Taurus, Capella, the star Capella, very spiritual star, blue, white in color, a very large magnitude visible, a star which is also related to money and wealth, a very lucky star. And then you have the 30th degree, the last degree where you have the southern horn of the Taurus. These three degrees where the horns are considered the 3 out of 7 degrees which are sacred. Why are they sacred? Imagine you have the horns. If you put moon or sun under the horns, you get a divinity. You have a godlike divinity, and this way, what you receive, if you have sun or moon, only the luminaries matter, then you know that this person was priest or priestess in previous lives. Then you will know that this person was very spiritual, who did good, used to help people, and has a very high level of awareness, consciousness, and spirituality. It will be absolutely the other way around if instead of luminaries you have their Saturn and Mars or other planet. You judge on the nature of the planet, but take that you have Saturn in on the ascendant, like on the 30 degrees example of Taurus. What are we saying then? The person misused power of spirituality, like the person was given the knowledge by the gods to exercise spiritual shamanic activities, and instead of helping people, the person misused his or her powers. So then you know this when you're analyzing somebody's horoscope. So the other 2 degrees are in another place which is related to a royal star, and this is Leo, the 3rd degree of Leo, and this is the 5th degree of Leo. The 3rd degree is the neck of the lion, and very place of power, place of knowledge, place of speech, place where the speech is arising. And the 5th degree is the heart of the lion, the Regulus. Again, sun or moon there will show you how the person would execute his or her spiritual level of consciousness in the past, how the person helped others with his or her knowledge. So this is how you judge. If there is Saturn, I told you, if there is Saturn in the 5 degrees, the heart of the person will be cold, or will be afflicted, or the person will be having heart diseases, or the person misused his or her power in the past life. And there are no exceptions from this rule. I will tell you why. Because you immediately see, once you find out this particular degrees, and of course not in every horoscope you will see such level of consciousness or spirituality, but once you find interesting things in these particular degrees, you will see that later on, when you develop the analysis of the horoscope, it all makes perfect sense. And then when you build the chart starting from ascendant 6th house, it all comes into place. Then you analyze separately the chart, and you will see that it all can be connected as a puzzle, and it works. And then you go to the 3rd royal star, which will be Scorpio. You know, the scorpion is having also some like horns, and there is the 7th degree of Scorpio. And this is this is also a godlike figure you will get if you have sun or moon there. And these particular degrees have the same meaning. But here you will have the Scorpio-like spirituality with deeper occultism, with shamanism, with healing, most probably, with natural people will be natural healers, will have secret knowledge of poisons, for example, and many more. Maybe there will be homeopathic medic specialists. I don't know, but this is how you. One of these will be valid for sure. And then you have the last 7th degree, a very beautiful one and a very specific one. And this is the waters of Aquarius. You know, Aquarius is such a spiritual sign. And as we said, look at Uranus, who is a co-ruler. You look at Uranus, how Uranus got Anu or got An is placed in the horoscope. Because Uranus will show you how the person did with God. And then you judge what the person needs to learn now in this life, how the person's lessons will come. Then you know how to help him or her, to advise him or her to get back connected to the sky and to the divinities, to the spirit world, to the angels. You advise then the person, if you see that Uranus is afflicted, detriment, badly placed, or if you see that Uranus is afflicting the sun and the moon, you should advise the person to start rediscovering the connection with God, to do good, to help people, to do charity, to be very empathic, to help people for good without receiving, searching for anything in return. So, and of course, to look at Uranus, to connect. It doesn't matter that Uranus will not be visible in the sky. Such attempt to reconnect will be noticed by the divinity which rules Uranus, Anu, God Anu. So, Aquarius, a very spiritual sign. Remember, in the videos about Fomalhaut, I was explaining that this is a star. Fomalhaut in the 10th degree is a star of the spiritual priest or priestess. But then you have this man who is pouring water from like a vase or can, pouring water. From this water on the sky, you have the river Eridan starting. A river where the souls of the dead are being transported. And such river exists on the sky. And the souls really pass through this river. So you have the water, and this godlike person, the Aquarius, is pouring water, and in the 20th degree, you have either abundance of empathy, spirituality, good heart, or if you have, this will be valid if you have Sun or Moon there. If you have Saturn there, guess this will be very, very bad. Then the person really misused knowledge, spiritual power, awareness in previous incarnations. And then I will complete with one example, a very interesting example about Hitler. Hitler is having Saturn in the 7th degree Scorpio. And you all know that Hitler was very occultistic. He would be very much deep into occult magic. He would be very much into occult practices. You know that he had all the he had these secret societies that I think he created. One was called Vril, and there was another Tula. Two secret, good that I remembered, two secret societies that he participated in, and they did a lot of occult, black magic, occult practices. They were visiting Tibet to gain occult knowledge. So, see what he was doing in his incarnation now, and you can judge that this is simply like prolongation of what he did before, having Saturn between the horns of the scorpion in the 7 degrees of Scorpion. So with this I'm completing my story about the incarnations and about the sacred degrees. Don't hesitate to ask questions. Thank you.